Uh, I want to convene this meeting of the Board of Directors for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for October 2nd, 2025. Leah, would you take roll?
President Smalley,
Here.
Director Foltz,
Here.
Director Largay,
Yes.
Director Russ.
Here.
And Vice President is excused absence. Board is present.
Okay, all right. Um. So, any changes to the closed session?
There are no changes.
Okay, all right. Let's see, nobody from the public. Here. Uh. One staff online. That's it. And I assume that you don't have any comments on this, Garrett. Otherwise, put your hand up and. So, okay. With that, then we can adjourn to closed session. And we'll be back. Okay. For the open.
Here, I got my own. Anything else, Swap? Right. Yeah, 6:15. Nobody's calling in, right? Nope. Okay. Thanks.
Sounds good. Okay, I've got 6:30. So we will get started. I want to convene this meeting of the Board of Directors for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for October 2nd, 2025. Here, would you take roll again, please?
President Smalley,
Here?
Director Foltz,
Here.
Director Largay,
Here.
and Director Russ.
Here.
Vice President is excused absent.
The board took no action on the one item that we had during the closed session, so we have no reportable action on that. Any changes to the regular?
We have one change, item 10F, labor negotiations. So at the time the agenda was prepared, I was informed that the offer had been accepted by both employee negotiating units. However, I was notified yesterday that a subsequent meeting was held to conduct a more complete and formal vote. And the offer did not receive the necessary votes for approval. And as a result, this item will need to be withdrawn from tonight's agenda.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that update. Oral communications. Does any member of the public wish to bring up an item that is not on tonight's agenda? And wants to bring it in front of the district board and staff? I don't see anybody online and there's nobody in the room. So we will proceed then. There's no unfinished business, new business. The Bear Creek Estates wastewater consultant. So I understand you're taking that one, Jesse?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
The San Lorenzo Valley Water District's Bear Creek wastewater facility is currently experiencing operational and regulatory compliance challenges. Most notably, the district's failure to meet the 50% total nitrogen reduction requirement mandated by the California Regional Water Quality Control Board. District staff has determined that professional on-site consultation and services are necessary to restore effective operations and ensure long-term regulatory compliance of this facility. To address these needs, the staff recommends engaging in the proposed contract with Essential Operations to provide oversight, monitoring, training, inspection, and maintenance services for the Bear Creek wastewater facility. The immediate objective of this agreement is to restore the treatment plant to its original engineered operational plan. Once this is achieved, Essential Operations will conduct a comprehensive assessment to identify and recommend additional improvements necessary to secure long-term operational stability and continued compliance with regulatory requirements. Essential Operations' long-term monitoring strategy, implemented over the next 1 to 2 years, combined with their expertise in Aranco modified trickling filter systems, provide the district with a thorough and professional assessment. In addition, their training of district staff and final recommendations will ensure the Bear Creek wastewater facility is properly operated and maintained well beyond the term of their contract. Staff recommends the board directs the general manager to execute a contract agreement with Essential Operations for an on-site consultant and service agreement for the Bear Creek wastewater facility not to exceed $85,000 and authorize the general manager to execute non-substantive modifications as necessary. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Jesse, or the rest of the board, I sent Jesse and Jason some questions earlier this week and some comments. And there's some background information on this treatment plant that for at least Director Russ, and I don't know about Director Largay, that Bob and I have heard over the years, either at the engineering committee meetings or at board meetings, that I think would be appropriate. So
Yeah.
If you want me to go through my questions, Jesse, or since you have them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with what you just brought up. There is, I think between 2016 and 2020, the district had outside engineering firm assess the facility and come up with a memorandum which gave the district a few alternatives. The one being a complete new system or modifying the existing system. Ultimately, the district went with modifying the existing system, which ended up not working. there hasn't been much action since 2020 is my understanding, and that's where we stand now. We are currently violating, as I mentioned, the total 50% nitrificate or total nitrogen reduction, and we're out of compliance.
Okay. And did we do only one round of improvement then, or did we do two?
So I wasn't a part of those improvements, but looking back and talking to the staff, it sounds like the first step we made in the around 2016 to 18
Yeah.
sometime, we added a redundant blower. The next step was in 2020, we increased the size of the blower.
Okay.
And neither of them worked.
Right, okay. But it was my understanding both of those were targeted to nitrogen reduction.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's what we were focused on then.
Yes.
And,
Still.
and we spent monies.
Yeah, I couldn't, I wasn't able to pull up the exact amount.
Okay. Okay, well, with that then, I'll open it up to the rest of the board, for questions. Bob, you've been involved in this longer than I have.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the ultimate in tar baby. So we've been out of compliance forever. Basically, the system, when it was installed, was in compliance for the regulations at the time. But it's, regulations have, grown over time, and so we're no longer in compliance. The study that was done basically came back with alternatives that were completely unaffordable. And that, in my opinion, was mainly due to the fact they didn't consider things like step systems and the like. For reasons I think that the county doesn't allow it, but regulations can go both ways. So I have to admit I'm skeptical that this is going to get resolved. But it's actions that we can point to to the regulators and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Is this 85,000 going to offset our costs, or is it, because right now we're operating, I think every year we spend about $150,000 of our staff time on it. So is that going to be reduced or offset by this, or is it in addition to this?
No, the funds are coming from the wastewater.
I understand where they're coming from. I'm talking about, and I'll get to the next point, but I'm talking about whether or not this 85,000 is going to reduce our staff costs by 85,000, or whether it's added to the staff costs.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's going to reduce our staff costs.
It is?
It was not.
No.
It's not.
Okay. So have we consulted with the Bear Creek Estates community on what we're doing here? Because there were some, I don't know if promises is quite the word, but certainly understandings that were put in place at the last rate increase.
Yes.
And given that this community is very small, they can block any rate increase that they want, and did, and as a matter of fact.
So the money that we're looking at here would currently be going to reserves for the wastewater account.
I understand that,
So
but
we would be reducing.
I understand all that, but that's not my question, because
no,
those
they-
reserves
yeah.
were being built up to actually do something more to the system as opposed to just operate it.
Right, and it's staff's opinion that this consultant will be able to direct us exactly in the best way to do what we want to do with those reserves.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, though, to have a conversation with at least some of the people from Bear Creek Estate. Have you met any of the people from Bear
Yeah.
Creek Estate?
I'm very open to a meeting with the
Yeah.
community or the customers. I believe Essential Operations would be open to meeting with them as well to give more detail and technical.
Yes,
I would add that this, the contract may read or look like it's just a service and maintenance contract, but really the idea of this is to give a real comprehensive look at the system over time. And not only that, but train our staff. So when his contract is over, our staff is prepared to continue operating the system the way it was designed, and hopefully any type of modifications that are made, we can continue, we'll have an understanding. I think a mistake that was made in the past by these engineers were they didn't do a full comprehensive look. They went on site once or twice, And then they came back, they came back with the cookie cutter solutions where the central operation, the owner used to work for Arenco, which the current filter system we have. And with his one on-site visit, he was able to recognize a few flaws immediately. And, I think it's more of just getting a better look and understanding. He doesn't have a silver bullet to just fix this. He needs to give a full understanding of it. And, it may be where we already have the equipment in place and it just needs some increased maintenance and maybe some adjustments to the blowers. It might be that simple, and maybe it's not.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that bringing this to the board is in any way wrong or shouldn't be done. But because of the sensitivity around this with the community and what those funds were gonna go for.
Yes.
I'm,
And one of the community members is on
Is he?
online. this
Okay.
evening.
so
So
let's,
but we
yeah,
will wait
let me
until
put the
we go
pin
through
in-
everybody else.
yeah, let me
Yeah.
put a pin in that
So
because,
we get comments from
Yeah.
Stacy on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
because he'd be the guy.
I think the $85,000 would give us, at the end of the contract, would give us a better look and understanding of what type of modifications we need to make. So when we do make that large investment, that upgrade in that system, it's actually going to work this time.
I would just say they've heard that
Yeah, I understand.
a couple times.
I
Yeah.
I feel them, yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Anything else, Bob?
no.
Okay, then I do have a couple of other background questions that I think are significant. Then you mentioned nitrogen exceedances. Is that throughout the year or is that a specific time of the year?
For the last few years, it's every month. We monitor it every month. Yeah,
Okay.
I looked back the past 12 months and it was every month. It was every month.
So it's not during just high rainfall.
That's how it started.
Right, okay,
We
That's
have
where
some
it
theories
was.
on what happened. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know what theory.
okay, all right. The county plans to establish a sewer system in Boulder Creek, but it's many, many years away. It's been my thought that hope that we can tie this Bear Creek Estate system into that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted the rest of the board members to be aware of that longer term
Right.
aspect.
Not likely.
I can comment on that. We reached out to the county recently.
Yeah.
About that project.
Yeah.
And they basically said there's been little to no movement.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay,
so, and in addition, having a compliant system would make it a lot more desirable for future consolidation.
yes. And then the last on background that was, you mentioned the Regional Water Quality Control Board, I think in part of what you said here. Have we had any recent or have they contacted us at all in the last, I don't know, 2 years
No,
to say, to put up a further red flag or?
there's been nothing involving our
Okay.
violation.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, I have other questions about the proposal of the contract, but that's what I thought background.
Yeah.
So Brian,
Thanks. I guess I'm just reviewing some of the documentation around it. And so what I understand is that the effluent from the wastewater treatment plant is something like 60 or 70 milligrams per liter as nitrogen.
It does vary, but I think the last one goes right around there, yeah.
And so I understand that we've been ordered by the water board to reduce that by 50%. And that those orders are from about 20 years ago. And we've been struggling and
Yeah.
failing to achieve those orders.
Yeah,
So that would get us down to 35. But the water quality standard for nitrogen is 10.
I've heard that, yeah. Our requirement is a 50% reduction, so whatever the influent is, we gotta lower it by 50%.
Requirement for now, I think.
Yeah, and I think my read of it is that they're taking it easy on us and that pretty much at any time they could require us to reach the 10 milligram per liter
That's a possibility, yeah.
standard. And I'm pretty surprised by that. Like 35 or 60 is a lot of nitrogen. That's pretty gross, frankly. And that's enough to cause algal growth in the river, and people swim in the river. So I guess I thank you for bringing this to our attention. I don't have a good, I guess my concern is that the system itself may be fatally flawed and unable to achieve the 10 milligram standard that sooner or later will be required of us. And I'm concerned about heavily investing in a system that will just buy us some time, but eventually need to be replaced. All that said, compliance with the Regional Water Board order is quite important, and learning this rate study or rate increase issues related to the local community and all that, I'm a little confused about whose burden it is to solve the problem. So I guess more questions in my head than
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any.
I mean, I would say the
insight
burden
into-
falls on us. We're the owners,
Yeah,
it is. There's only 56 homes that feed into the system, and the funds just aren't there, to have a full, there's not even enough funds to have a full-time wastewater operator, so the expertise at the district just isn't there to get this thing back to par. If we could get to a point where it's operating on par and the staff's been trained, there's a possibility that we could continue this going with, even without a full-time wastewater operator on staff.
I guess my only last question is, do you know if the effluent is as nitrate or if it's as ammonium?
I believe it's nitrate, but I would have to go back and look at the lab reports.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, for what it's worth, I manage a farm in Watsonville that has 40 milligrams per liter nitrogen as nitrate nitrogen coming out of it. And built a wood chip bioreactor, which is essentially like a pond full of wood chips, and it strips 90% of the nitrate from it with no O&M.
Interesting.
Anyway, if you want to learn more about that, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. Nitrate's much easier than ammonium. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
All right. Over to Russ.
Yeah, well, so I heard 56 customers, and what kind of daily flows on average?
That's really depends on the time of year. You're during the winter, the INI can be very high. I believe I read it can get up to 35,000 gallons a day. This time of year, I think we're looking more like 5 to 10,000.
Wow. Okay. So at 5 to 6, that's still over, what, about 100 gallons a day from each of the customers? Am I understanding that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then during high flow, we're talking 400 or 500 gallons a day?
Yeah, a lot of that, some of that is intrusion,
I see.
rainwater intrusion, but
Wow. Yeah, or 3/4 of it is intrusion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to follow up on Brian's question about what form. So there's not ammonia, not nitrites, but it's mostly nitrate, right?
that I would have to be fully give you a confident answer. I'd have to go look at the lab reports, but it's from reviewing them, that's what I remember. Yeah.
Okay. And then and so this has been ongoing, it sounds like for a decade or two. No penalties, no fees, no financial hit.
From my time here, kind of being in the loop of things, we have no financial, no fines or anything. That's correct.
And this is, I mean, that works out. This effluent is directly discharged then into the San Lorenzo River, or
No,
I'm not
it's
sure where it's
It's
going.
the effluent is discharged into a series of leach fields we have at the facility. But it's directly above the Bear Creek.
Very close.
Very close, yeah.
Okay. And is one of the concerns is that that is basically getting into the groundwater and over
Yeah,
saturating.
and yeah, along with the leach field failing.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. And just for my understanding, what do you think the core source of the nitrogen is? Is it just organics that are somehow getting into the, I mean,
No, like I said, we don't have any full-time wastewater operators on staff. I've tried to educate myself as much as I can on this.
Yeah.
You know, it's the organics in the waste, the influent. And it's also possibly the lack of the good organics in the filtering treatment system, if that makes any sense. Basically the bugs that will hopefully eat the nitrogen. So
right, and so I'm assuming that this spray system is spraying like some mats and they're growing bacteria that eat the nitrites and then the nitrates or produce nitrate. But do they actually get rid of the nitrate? I mean, I guess,
not a little bit, but it's not doing
Yeah.
a job. Not a job.
all right. I mean, I've got one of these, one of the required advanced, enhanced septic systems.
Yeah.
And outside of, not much you can do. I mean, it's, yeah, that's my understanding. I'm just curious how that works. And then from a budget point of view, the numbers that they had quoted us were like 50, let's see, 50,000 and then 27,000. Was this 85 supposed to cover for both years or just supposed to cover some contingency numbers in the first year? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so the 77,000, I believe it would cover both years. The additional 7,700, give or take, would be for the potential of increased sampling. Meeting with essential operation, he mentioned there may be, once he dives into it, there may be more sampling that he may want to do.
Uh-huh.
So I gave us a little room just in case we want to increase sampling.
I see.
But there's a
Okay.
possibility, it could remain at that amount.
Gotcha.
That's what's proposed.
Okay, so you picked 85 as just being like a number that seems like it covers.
Yeah,
Most of
there
what you
wasn't much
probably-
time. Yeah,
Okay,
I looked at how much it cost to run these samples and I gave us another. I think
Okay.
it was another 10 rounds.
and it doesn't sound like, I mean, from looking at the list of tasks that they would be doing, I guess aside from this one fellow's expertise where he just has an intuition about it, it seemed like a lot of the tasks, I would assume staff would know how to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it is the maintenance and operations, and I think that him being involved with that is part of a comprehensive assessment. Staff is gonna work side by side with them and, do what they can and also at the same time learn, but also in the contract, it is budgeted for engineering review and assessment, oversight, reviewing the lab reports, that kind of stuff. So it's not just operation and maintenance. And the big one for me is the training of staff that would be included, because, eventually this contract's gonna be over, the wastewater system's gonna still be there, and we're gonna need to know how to continue operating.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it just wasn't clear to me, how, they're gonna, show you, cleaning, biofilters, cleaning screens, the sprays, all that kind of stuff. But, are any of those actually designed to reduce the nitrogen? I mean, I guess in the grants, well, I'll just,
I would say, yeah, in the big picture, yeah, the idea would be bring it to its engineer, what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
Not only, cleaning all that, there may be increased maintenance that, increased pumping maintenance that we need to do. He mentioned that our trickling filters need to be pumped out periodically, something I don't remember us ever doing. So that's right there is some type of maintenance, something in maintenance that we're already lacking.
okay, all right. And so the hope and I guess they believe they have a shot at getting it reduced by 50%.
Yeah, I mean, that's his goal.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to give us just say, yeah, I can do this and it's going to be great. He needs to you dive in and by the end of the contract, we're gonna know where we stand, I believe, whether it's better position or the same, at least.
All right. Well, I appreciate your educating me. Thank you.
From my read of their proposal, and you've covered some of this already, it appeared to me that a lot of the proposal, as I was reading it, was standard monthly, quarterly system operation and maintenance. And system operation, I believe that internal staff have been doing that over the last number of years. Maintenance, maybe not all of what they should have been doing because maybe they didn't know what they should be doing.
Exactly.
But I hear you saying to Director Folta's question, well, is this reducing our internal staff cost? And you said, no, our staff are still going to be spending as much time as they have been up there.
Yeah.
If we're bringing a consultant on for as much as 2 years, I can support we want to improve our knowledge of the system so that we're better trained. We want an informed, consultant like this to show us what we need to be doing as far as maintenance and operations, and the training aspects of it. But then for them to do all of the tracking, the reporting, and everything else for as long as 2 years, if it's not reducing our staff time to this, I question that part of their proposal.
Yeah.
And feel that it should be much more focused on if they spent 3 months there on a more, I would hope after 3 months or 6 months at the outside, that enough of the operations staff on a rotating basis see what's going on there, and that you were able to develop some procedures.
Yeah.
Because do we have documented procedures for the facility now?
We have an operations manual. I mean, what do you?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I would hope that this individual is able to review that and say, based on what I'm seeing and what you have here, your procedures aren't anywhere near or aren't adequate, or here are the changes that. But is there the opportunity, instead of spending or allocating as much as 85,000, to do half of that or less?
Yes, I would say, I mean, so the second year is an option.
Right.
So if we want to renegotiate that second year and say, well, at this point, we've learned enough, we can handle all the operation and maintenance. All we want from you now is oversight, or we can end the contract.
Right.
That's one possibility. I would say the first year, from what talking with him, it seems like he needs to be on site and have hands on to actually.
And I can appreciate the hands-on. A year seems like lengthy to me, but you've had the conversations with him. I haven't.
Part of it is seeing it through the whole, seeing how it reacts in the winter, the dry season, the whole idea. And
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Okay.
I understand your point.
Yeah. Well, that's my thought on reviewing their proposal then. Okay. Well, since we've had one round of the board, I do want to open this up for public comment. And Stacy, we'd like to hear from you.
Okay, am I muted now?
You're unmuted. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I had a few questions, but I also wanted to give a little background in case some of you weren't aware. Originally it started like in 1999 and 2000, and by 2003 we agreed to go ahead and do about a $256,000, I think it was, or $208,000 improvement. And since then, and that didn't work. And then since then they added some blower fans, and that didn't work. And then I think they augmented them a few years ago, and they did some other stuff. I think the original one was, or maybe the second one, improvement was putting, I think it was tennis balls or golf balls in an area to kind of aerate the stuff. But anyways, altogether, we've probably spent a $500,000 to 700,000 or so. Plus, if you add all the extra testing that was required by the state, I guess, it just adds up. So I was questioning, what are we getting out of this 85,000? How's that going to help us? And I got a little bit of understanding from the first few people that were talking. So I kind of get that. What I'm upset with is we weren't informed about this meeting. Nobody knew about it but me. And I tried to get the word out, but I don't know if anybody found out or not. But in the past, we used to get emails or letters when there's anything really important concerning the sewer. And we haven't ever had any sewer meetings anymore. We used to have at least one a year, sometimes two a year, maybe 3 or 4 if there's a Prop 218 in the process, where you guys would come out and would meet with the locals that were interested, and that everybody could get on the same page. But ever since Rick Rogers left, we've heard nothing from you, and I've asked twice through emails from the head of the board and talking to the couple of the other guys, for a status and what's going on with the sewer. All I got back was, yeah, we're going to have so-and-so get back to you. And I never heard anything. So, that's kind of where we are as a group of 56 individuals. We don't know what's going on. We just keep flushing the toilets and it seems to work. The other thing I had to ask is, the mandate for the 50% originally was the state, but then it sounded like there's the county was the ones that are really pushing it, because the state has an exemption for sewer our size where we don't have to meet that. And it's just the county, I guess that's what you guys told us anyways, it was the county that's saying it has to be 50%. And like somebody else said, there's nothing from the county saying, well, it needs to be reduced by 75% or something. We would need to know what's going on, because 5 years ago, it was going to be about $1 million, $1.5 million to replace the plant out there. Now it's probably 3 times that. Plus, we still need to do all the pipes in the roads have to be replaced because of the water intrusion. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if you have some questions for me other than that.
Stacy, I appreciate the comments that you're making in particular. We've already, asked staff the question, have you met with the residents? And you're, clearly pointing out to us, no. I think that is an appropriate step for staff to take. There are other questions here and questions that the board has asked our operations director about that sound like they need some follow-up on. So with that, I think we're good with needing any further input from you at this point. So with that, though, I want to come back to the board for any subsequent comments or questions that board members have based on this discussion so far. Director Foltz?
Well, based on Stacy's comments, which thank you very much for attending, Stacy, who is regulating this and under what authority? And what is the ultimate goal, as Brian was pointing out? Because if there's a goal other than this 50% reduction that we could be held to, then I would want the contract to sort of have him opine, comment, analyze whether or not we could achieve that ultimate goal.
Mhm.
because regulators never stop. Once you achieve the 50%, they're going to roll out the next requirement. Just guarantee that as the sun comes up. So I'm a little concerned about making sure that we're addressing that. Stacy started touching a little bit of the historical aspect. The analysis that was done on replacing the system basically made it unaffordable. There was no way a group of 56 people were going to be able to do it. The solution for this, which is some sort of a high-tech system like they deploy in Europe all the time, was specifically excluded because the county wouldn't allow it. This is a irresistible force, immovable object situation. The current system, in my opinion, will never achieve whatever their ultimate regulatory goal is. We can get close. Maybe we can achieve the 50%, make it better. That's great. It'll never achieve compliance because that compliance is going to get worse or better, depending on your point of view, over time. The only way this can be achieved is for the county to relax their building requirements around the type of system that can be done. My daughter has a system in Texas that sprinkles water in an area that's, like very small, 3 times a day. That's it. No problem, no muss, no fuss. Inspected 3 times a year, $400.
But
So
we're not in Kansas.
no, I understand that. She's in Texas, but still, it has to be something other than a $5 million bill for 56 people.
Um,
So
Okay.
I would say maybe we need to do a little bit more. I mean, I don't know that I want to vote tonight. I don't know if there's some, can we do it 2 weeks from now?
May I ask Stacy to reach out to me tomorrow or sometime early next week, and that we can start establishing a conversation and set up a meeting?
That's one step. Yes. To Bob's point, though, about the memo that's in front of us tonight to approve the contract. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Bob, but I think is what you're saying. You really don't want to vote on this tonight. And that's where I am at this point also.
Yeah.
Is I think we're asking enough technical questions across the board this evening that, well, what kind of nitrogen is, I think essential operations, I think it would be useful to have that individual here to be able to better address the questions that we're asking. And in particular, one that I have is, so based on your limited review of what you've seen up there right now, give us a range of additional equipment costs that you think might be necessary for this, so that we have some, if that's where the thinking is ultimately going. Or
at least put it in the statement of work
yeah,
explicitly.
or, is there a way that we should be, instead of a full year, is 6 months? Any of those kind of things. So you've heard a lot of questions from the board and some of what Stacy's pointing out. So I think it'd be appropriate to come back to those and have a further discussion and table this evening.
Yeah, that's fair, and I believe Essential Operations will be willing to come to this board meeting, and I would comment that, part of what Essential Operations is gonna do is not only look at current, regulations, requirements, and future requirements, but also, I think it's gonna be hard for him to give you a number on what type of equipment it's gonna, because part of this assessment is looking at what type of money we need to spend in the future instead of dropping $250,000 into something that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
He can give you a better idea and say, this is the only option, it's gonna be $1 million, $500,000. And then, but with confidence that would work.
Yeah. So
I would like to see more in the statement of work around that, because to me, it's light in that area.
I agree. It's more heavily focused on the ongoing monthly operations, maintenance, and sampling and testing.
Mhm.
And very little to the more proactive aspects of system assessment, staff training, and that aspect. And so,
And heck, I like the wood chips idea, man. Brian, that sounds
Wood chips are
great.
cool.
Yeah.
They're great.
You can also do it with a methanol drip or a sugar solution or an ethanol drip.
Yeah.
Any carbon source without oxygen can strip nitrate pretty well.
so, through the memo, then any other thoughts or comments on this based on? the substance?
I'm just, I had a conversation not too long ago with county water quality staff about packaged wastewater treatment plants because it seems like a great idea in a variety of places. And the response was, well, ever since Bear Creek Estates, the last thing we want to do is approve another one of those things.
Yes.
And so, the whole idea of these
Right.
systems is kind of tainted in the county's county
Right.
environmental health worldview. And I don't know how we get them to approve a better one if they don't want to approve any of them.
Okay, then they have to accept that it's never gonna be in compliance.
But that's part of what we're,
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
yeah,
And it's
That's
not only just
insanity.
becoming compliant, there's other issues that the
understood.
system faces.
Right.
And, he would address those.
Okay, all right.
Just one last comment. The prospect of winter flows being 4 or 5 times summer flows, that's extraordinarily problematic. And I don't, any treatment plant that's getting overwhelmed with spring water or drainage water is going to have a really hard time keeping up. And that could damage the system or mess up the whole microbial community in ways that could make it not work for a long time after even the flows come back down again. And so fixing that return flow issue, especially if there's leaky pipes, is its own whole problem to solve, but might be very closely related to the system not running well.
Yeah, no, I think it's all tied in together, all these little problems contribute to one big problem. Right. I agree with that.
Thanks, Jesse.
Director Russ.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would maybe add a little bit to both Bob and Brian's comments were that if you can have EO spend a little more time addressing the other assessments, aside from this 50% issue that we're focused on, in the longer run, it would be great to also have them look at what's the bigger picture of issues that this treatment plant is going to face and regulations that it might have to face, because that's really what we're also looking at, in future years.
I believe that's their intention, but might have not read that way in the contract, but I believe that's their intention.
Okay.
Thank you.
And to a comment that I'm not sure who made it, but who are we regulated by? That's a question that we're at.
The regional water
state?
quality control.
Is it the county? Who? So we have to meet both? Okay.
Ultimately, it's the regional water.
If that's the case, then let us know that. And I think it would be informative to say regional water quality control board standards, county standards, if we're trying to dance to both of these, and we've got 2 agencies at the same time that. Okay.
Cards are built,
Yes, okay, all right. Are we good then, Jason, on this? Okay, all right. With that, we're tabling this one then for a future meeting, and we will move on. Okay. Next is the cross connection control program consultant.
Other consultant, here we go. All right. On July 30th, 2025, the district received a 6-month extension from the State Water Resources Control Board to submit a fully compliant cross-connection control program and to ensure that the district has a certified cross-connection control specialist on staff, either contracted or in-house. This extension, retroactive July 1st, 2025, establishes a compliance deadline of January 1st, 2026. Currently, the district does not have a cross-connection control specialist on staff. The district's construction inspector, hired July 1st, 2025, is required to obtain the certification with 18 months of hire and is actively working towards becoming certified. However, it is not feasible for the construction inspector to complete the certification and develop a program before the issued deadline. For this reason, it is necessary that the district contracts an outside specialist to ensure timely compliance. After soliciting four proposals from qualified specialists, staff has determined that the contract proposal from Knutson Cross Connection Backflow Services best meets the district needs, as well as being the most cost-effective out of the received proposals. Knutson Services will ensure the timely completion and approval of the program, act as the state-required specialist of record, and provide on-site training to district staff. This training will aid a smooth transition from Knutson Services to staff once the district has its own specialist in-house. Staff recommends the board directs the general manager to execute the contract agreement with Knutson Cross Connection and Backflow Services not to exceed $19,500 and authorize the general manager to execute a non-substantive modifications as necessary. That will take any questions.
Okay. Director Russ, why don't we start with you on this one?
Okay. So I think I read that our construction inspector is in the process of getting certified, but it won't be within the time frame, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that we could potentially realize 1,500 a month in savings if what happens, I guess.
So the 19,500 is based on assumption that the construction inspector would get it July 1st, 2026. It's it's hard to estimate exactly, but essentially the fee to be the specialist of record, which is required, was $1,500 a month.
Okay,
So if he's able to get it sooner, we can say 1,500.
gotcha. Okay. And I mean, from the description, it sounds like this is a pretty hard rule to try to get around. I mean, we have to do this. Is that?
Yeah,
We
yes.
really have to do this.
We've already received one extension, so to make no movement and ask for another extension would be difficult.
Okay. And would they, I guess it was the DWR, would they penalize us if, or something would happen? We don't know what.
It would be, it's a serious requirement and, fines are possible.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Brian?
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Director Folks?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to what we and other water agencies were doing in the past that required this kind of regulation. Because again, related to the last item we had, it never stops. What is this really trying to address? I mean, I know we don't want to have water, backflow, but were we doing any of that?
Well, the district and, new services, we assess and install new backflow devices. We do have in our policies and procedures language about installing backflow devices.
Mhm.
There's nothing that I could say the district's done that made the state create this additional compliance. It's just, like you said, it's additional compliance that the state's required. The requirement was.
And is the installation, I mean, I think I even did one myself, is the installation, I mean, is this so amazingly technical that it requires this kind of,
The state requires a cross connection specialist
yeah,
to be on staff.
someone that can make sure you're installing you're pointing it in the right direction?
Not just installation, it's also testing of it.
Testing.
And the hazard assessment that's going to go along with this program is a big part of it.
And how is this going to get rolled out into all of our community?
It's all new services will go. So part of the program is going to be implemented is going to be a hazard assessment. So part of that, the hazard assessment is we're going to have to assess every single one of our connections and determine whether they need a backflow device or not.
And by connection, we mean to our customers.
Customers of yes.
I mean, shouldn't everybody have one?
Not necessarily. If you don't have something that may, there are a lot of things that will, having a swimming pool, a tank on your, that kind of stuff.
I would say every water district is different. So I've seen water districts that every resident has a check valve
Yeah,
at the.
I mean, that's just what we did.
Yeah, the Indian Valley Water District, none of the
None of
residents had any
none
backflow,
of them?
none of them.
Wow.
It was just commercial.
When we install new meters, it's part of the detail is to install a check valve.
Yeah.
But that's not considered a backflow device.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid and we were doing it meter installs, we just put a check valve in everyone. So
Yeah.
kind of surprised that that wouldn't be a standard for everybody. Wow. Okay, onward. We need more regulation. This is good.
Okay. Is the construction inspector the only district staff that is seeking this certification?
Well, the other districts already have a cross connection specialist. Is that
No,
what your question?
within our district,
Currently, he's the only one seeking that certification.
Yeah, oh yeah.
right? And are we okay?
No, we'll have to find another,
Okay, with
Backup.
some backup of to be able to cover that when,
yeah, but
okay.
right now, he's the only one seeking it. We'll have to establish,
So putting that as
Fallback
part of a next promotion level, here's another certification. to have.
Education.
Exactly, yeah, it's education, training, and then the certification to do that. The proposed services, I see more of a comment than anything, on page 44, item 5. It's clear to me in that Knutson is trying to help the district eventually do the work instead of depending upon Knutson.
Oh yeah, that's
So I like that in a consultant to be able to, we want to get us off of your books and have you doing this instead. So
written into the contract is
written in the
on-site-
contract.
on-site
Yes.
training.
Yes, yes.
Required.
So good for them and pointing it out to us that way. So I'm pleased to see that. Yeah. Did you get any input from one of our residents who works for San Jose Water, specifically Suzanne De Lorenzo?
Yeah, she did provide a cross connection control program.
Okay,
Okay, it's from
I understand.
different type of water.
I understand. It's a
Different
completely
level.
different, it's a completely,
Yeah.
they have this and we're looking for this. and-
Yeah, it
But it's
gave me
maybe
some
some
understanding,
guideline of what,
but
what they're looking for.
regardless, even if I memorize that document, I'm still not a specialist.
I understand.
Can't
No,
implement
no,
the
but
program.
I'm just,
Yeah.
some guidance there.
Yeah, no, she did.
We were able to get, okay, good. Because when I spoke to her during an interview process, she pointed that out.
Yeah, she quickly reached out to me and yeah. It was
Good.
very helpful.
Okay, good. Then, any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none. Any other back from the board? Doesn't seem like it. I want to make the motion that the general manager execute the contract agreement with Knutson Cross Connection and Backflow Services not to exceed 19,500 and authorize the general manager to execute non-substantive modifications as necessary.
I'll second.
President Smalley,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
Director Leday,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Okay, all right. Good, thank you. Moving on. Next up is the ban on glyphosate.
Yep.
Glyphosate. Glyphosate.
we get into the technical aspect of the resolution. I'm gonna provide some context to the agenda item regarding the glyphosate, sorry. A previous board did pass a resolution banning the use of glyphosate at the district. However, that resolution was never signed by the board president and therefore was not recorded, leaving a gap in our official records. Tonight's item is being brought forward to correct that administrative oversight. However, at the same time, I want to point out that our integrated pest management policy adopted in 2020 already prohibit glyphosate under its restriction of EPA category 1 and California Proposition 65 carcinogens. So that being said, the board should feel free to discuss whether this resolution remains necessary as an additional safeguard or whether the existing integrated pest management policy already provides sufficient coverage.
Okay. So, does Chris have additional to present?
Only if you need it.
Okay, all right.
I'm here for you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Chris. Then we'll start with questions from the board. Brian,
I guess I am still getting up to speed on the full context for this. I think the clerical error of not signing a prior decision of the board seems regrettable, and at the same time, I think the integrated pest management policy is a robust document that is clear about protocols for the use of herbicides and other compounds. I guess for my own part, I think that integrated pest management policy should be the governing document with respect to glyphosate and all the other compounds that we might choose to use in our district operations. Insofar as glyphosate is subject to the provisions of the various pesticide categories identified as not allowed under that policy, it would seem that the integrated pest management policy would be the dominant issue, and rather than a specific ban on a specific compound. So anyway, that's my relatively disorganized thoughts about it, and I'm sorry for not being more composed.
If I could add just a note about the administrative error. I actually went back and watched the video of that board meeting, and there was not a resolution brought to the meeting, and the actual the language of the motion was not to adopt a resolution. It was simply to ban glyphosate. And so I think that further adds to the kind of confusion that has been around this.
Thank you, Chris. That makes me feel better that there was not just an ignoring of a resolution that was passed. Thanks.
okay, all right. Director Foltz?
Yeah, so I mean, maybe help me out here, because I do remember voting for the ban. I was on the board at the time. It was one of the first major actions that we took after being defeated in December 2018. There's a resolution required. I mean, if we voted to ban it, that to me is an action of the board that says the ban is in place. Now, we could have further memorialized that in an integrated pest management policy, but I don't know necessarily that a resolution is required.
I don't think it's required.
Okay, so
It
the
was
ban
just-
is in
It was
place.
just understood that there was a resolution, and when we went back to find it, it wasn't there.
Oh, okay, well, but this is one of the reasons why I want to make sure that we don't lose that video evidence on the community TV, that gets captured. Because thank you for going back and looking at that. I don't know that we necessarily need, I mean, a ban is already in place. I don't know that a further resolution is required.
I agree.
Am I missing anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Director Russ?
No, I think that would be my position as well. If it's already covered in the integrated regulations, it almost seems like we might even be making it more complicated if the wording is a little different or something like that. So unless you see a reason to have a specific ban.
No, wait a sec.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we understand. A ban is in place.
Yeah.
Okay, true.
All right, so
Yeah, it's already there.
it's already there. We don't need a further resolution.
No.
Unless I'm missing something.
No, so a ban, I will say, I mean, the board voted to ban it. So the only thing that would change is if the EPA removed it from category 1 and the state took it off the Prop 65 carcinogens, then the district ban would still be in place.
Right. Yeah, which is, to my way of thinking, even better. Because you never know what regulators are gonna do.
Okay. Good. Bob,
Good, thank you.
okay, all right. I don't see any reason for us to consider this, the resolution any further.
In light of the new evidence.
Well, yeah, in light of that, and the fact that the integrated pest management plan is ready, but more globally. So, yeah, and in light of what you were telling us about watching the other video. Comments from the public on this then?
Yes.
It's on.
Hi, my name's Rick Grant, I'm from Benham. Let's be absolutely sure, there's no confusion about this at all right? And given that the integrated pest management plan is being considered for revision, I think at least was in the last environmental committee meeting. So I think it's important that this framework be established, right? This is the basis for that integrated pest management plan, all right? I participated in that myself, okay? No confusion. If you don't continue the ban on glyphosate, you will be overturning the will of the majority of Valley voters. In 2018, 3 candidates pledged to stop the use of glyphosate. Those candidates won by a landslide. One of the first pieces of business that board did was to vote a ban on glyphosate. The people got what they wanted. Also, if you don't continue this ban, you will be setting up the district to an ever-increasing use of pesticides. These plants become resistant to pesticides over time. We'll have a super weed. Just ask the cotton farmers or the soybean farmers who are dealing with pesticide-resistant weeds. Lastly, if you don't continue this ban, you will be setting in motion the probable reintroduction of a cancer-causing toxic pesticide, putting in jeopardy the lives of anyone who applies this pesticide, and it won't be you guys. Over 100,000 people have sued Monsanto Bayer, the producer of this chemical, and Monsanto has paid out over $10 billion in damages. $10 billion in damages for using this product. We should stay away from glyphosate and continue this ban. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any further comments from board members?
Yeah, so I pulled up the agenda and minutes for this process. The agenda did not include a resolution, as Chris said. I also pulled up the minutes. And one of the directors said he wanted to ban glyphosate, and the resolution needed to cross out until the integrated pest management plan. So it was very clear that what the board voted on at the time was to ban glyphosate. The only question I have is whether that ban, in order for it to be effective as a standalone measure, requires a resolution. Legally requires a resolution. My understanding, and the understanding at the time, I'm sure, was that it did not. So ban is already in place, Rick. There's no need to do this resolution because we already have a ban.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Rick's concern about the fact that there are people on the board that have expressed a willingness to use pesticides. We're going to have that debate, I think, at a later time as to whether or not that ban should include more than just glyphosate or other carcinogens on the, I forget the numbers 1 and 2 or whatever it is, but that's for the future. Right now, I just want everybody here to acknowledge, and I think we have, that a ban is in place. This resolution, I think, was brought because we thought there was a resolution and it wasn't signed, but we didn't need a resolution.
Yeah, and it was referenced in the pest management policy. And so that is one change that will happen is rather than it saying resolution, they'll say like board action.
Yeah, board action, right, yeah. Anytime the board takes an action like that, unless a resolution is legally required by California code, our actions is in fact the effect of a resolution, so. Okay,
But if you're reading what you just read, did it not read that we banned glyphosate until we had an integrated?
we crossed that out.
Okay,
That was, see, that's the key, is that we wanted to make sure that that was established, regardless of whatever happened else, this was
so the ban on
established
glyphosate will continue in perpetuity.
in perpetuity until the board takes action to revoke that
Understood.
ban.
Excuse me, if I could add some clarity to that. Could I have a minute to add some clarity to that?
Sure, what, 1 minute?
So when I first became involved with the environmental committee, in 2016, this is what happened. We were concerned about glyphosate. And the board asked that we have a integrated pest management plan, 2016. The board at that time did not pursue quickly a pest management plan up until 2018, 2019. All right, I took it upon myself to push that forward as much as I could. I finally became a member of the board. And when I did, I chose that was the highest priority that I had, was to create an integrated pest management plan. 4 years after it was established that they have one, all right? So that's how that historical process works.
Well, given that, I don't think we need to take any further action on this item. Okay, agreed. We'll move on then. The urban water management plan.
So in 2020, the district partnered with Scotts Valley Water District to prepare our urban water management plan. That collaboration reduced costs, aligned technical assumptions, and streamlined public engagement. The plan is required by California Water Code 10621, the Urban Water Management Planning Act. The urban water management plans must be updated at least once every 5 years, those years ending in 1 or 6. So the next one is due July 1st, 2026. The purpose is to evaluate long-term resource plans and establish management measures to ensure adequate water supplies are available to meet current and future demands. Scotts Valley has approached us about partnering again for the upcoming plan. Repeating the joint approach would offer cost efficiency by sharing consultant services and technical work, consistency in regional assumptions and customer messaging, and also schedule advantages by coordinating timeline and public review and adoption. If authorized by the board, the next steps would be to work with Scotts Valley staff to draft a joint scope of work and procurement approach, return to the board with professional services agreement and a cost sharing MOU, and set a schedule that positions both agencies to review and adopt their plans by spring 2026 ahead of the statutory deadline. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Director Coles?
Well, I hate to be the historical skunk at the garden party, but the way that came about was actually a little bit different. We had a proposal from a company that was about 1/3 the cost of the ultimate proposal that we went with. And then the reason for going and doing something jointly with Scotts Valley was to support the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency action to make sure that everything was sort of done by the same group. The group that we use is actually the high cost supplier. That requirement has kind of gone away. The Santa Margarita plan has been accepted by the state. Santa Cruz will shortly be able to sell water to Scotts Valley through their intertie, which is one of the major points of the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency plan. Share surface water in the wintertime, either from us or from Santa Cruz, and since Santa Cruz blocked our ability to do so, they'll get first crack at that. I'm concerned about going down this path. Scotts Valley has historically maybe not been quite as focused on cost as at least I've been. I asked this question in 2020 when we voted on this, And what do we actually do with these plans? And at the time, it basically went on the shelf. There's really nothing that in the plan that changes our how we operate, what we operate, our water supplies, because we're not interconnected to anybody outside of ourselves here. We're not connected to the California water projects or anything like that. And so from my point of view, doing it at the absolute lowest possible cost is the way to go. Unless there's some really substantial thing here that we're doing in conjunction with Scotts Valley, which I just don't see. I don't see any reason to work exclusively with them. We might want to put our own bid package out to see what comes back, because 2020, I think it came back at 20,000 versus close to 60,000. So for doing the joint with the expensive guy. So I'm not, like I say, I hate to bring history into this, but I'm not sure this is going to get us the low cost that we're actually anticipating. My expectation is they'll go back to that same company because it's all part of the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency, and they're very much tied into that.
Well, I mean, I just say that the next step is to bring the cost back to the board, and they can, you can obviously at that time decide.
I think you need to go separate proposal, and if you want to go joint, okay, but I don't know that there's really a need to do that at this point. Anyway, I'm skeptical about it.
Director Russ?
Oh, boy. I mean, certainly, the outline, reads well, a joint, statement of work and put together a professional services agreement, cost sharing, leverage resources, that sounds good, but I guess I hadn't appreciated that at the end of the day, this sounds like a check the box exercise where we just have to show that we did it, we submitted it, and if it meets some minimum.
Yes and no. I mean,
yes and no.
it is supposed to be used to define your master plan and general plan about the direction you're going in the future. Not doing it precludes the district from receiving DWR grants.
Okay, so, yeah, so we have to do it. Right, okay, but I guess, does it result in any insights? I guess, would we have any different insights working alone versus working with Scotts Valley? Would there be some synergies that we could realize where together we can actually come up with some, I don't know.
Yeah, to Director Fultz's point, working with the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency, you get that global view of working together. Now, if that's not what the board wants to do, then we can go individually, but that's what you would get from working as a joint effort.
So if we pursued, I guess, if we pursued having both alone and then seeing if the joint effort with Scotts Valley makes sense, how much extra staff time would be involved, do you think, to do both rather than just choose one course or the other?
Not quite twice as much, but close to it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, in other words, they're both reasonable effort. Okay, and I guess I was struggling with, is there a way to just ballpark costs as opposed to,
Yeah, I went out today and looked at what is it, Mid Peninsula, just did one for 122,000. So,
And
that's
big.
I was hoping that doing a joint effort would reduce that to 60,000 per district. But yeah, that's the going rate right now.
Wow.
Penn also has a lot of land though.
Yeah.
So
They
maybe it would be what?
it's very different.
It could be a lot less. I mean, to Director Fulford's point last time, we had two bids, one for 111,000, one for 43,000. The recommendation was that the $43,000 one lacked clarity and definitive needed parts of the plan, and they went with a more expensive version because it offered a definite clear path to what we needed. So.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
good. Thank you.
Brian?
I guess, I'm not sure that I do have questions. To me, partnering with Scotts Valley on this, joint urban water management plan, idea is a total no-brainer. We share the same, Santa Margarita groundwater agency. We share the same aquifer. We're working on a conjunctive use program to be able to share surface water and groundwater between our agencies. The staff time of managing consultants, the staff time of putting forward bid packages. There's such fantastic economies of scale, and the opportunity to have a plan that starts setting us up for a good conjunctive use plan, and continued management of the groundwater agency. Those are exactly the kind of things that will queue us up for Department of Water Resources funding, and is the purpose for the urban water management plan. From a cost effectiveness perspective, I think that having clear bid expectations, having a good number of bidders, and choosing people on the basis of cost seems like the strategy to contain cost overruns or some gilded lily type of situation. My interaction with Scotts Valley on the groundwater agency is that there's high degrees of cost consciousness among the leadership there, and it would surprise me that they're interested in being frivolous with their ratepayer money.
I'm not sure why only 2 bids were received last time, but I would hope that we would get a lot more this time. There's more companies that do these now.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So to me, this looks like an obvious good idea.
All right. I think it's also good if we can work with Scotts Valley. I appreciate Director Fulton's comments about at the time we did this in 2020, needing to integrate what we were doing here with the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency was much more significant. Now that their master plan has been approved by the state, and we know what that says as an entity, or working just with Scotts Valley, I don't think we need that larger umbrella perspective. But I would hope that being able to split the cost of something like this that's jointly prepared is appropriate. But let me ask, I think it's appropriate to work with Scotts Valley, but why don't, is it possible for you to have the discussion with them to say, yeah, let's work together, let's bid this out. Why don't we get costs from multiple consultants? Give us this as a joint between the two of us, or give it to,
We
cost.
can always do a line item by line item.
And not put the burden on staff here, but you working with Scotts Valley to say Scotts Valley cost, San Lorenzo Valley cost, or jointly. And have any of the bidders offer those 3 in the same package. That way, I think it's a complete system. So with that, I think that the proposal should be clear on then who takes the lead if this is a joint RFP.
Okay.
Who takes the lead on putting together the package and then consultant management of that, if we are working together jointly then for a joint plan. My other questions have been answered on this already. So with that, I want to open it up to the public to see if public has any comments on this. So, and seeing none here and none online. Excuse me. Yeah, okay, yeah, second round of comments, yeah. Good.
I would be much more inclined to support this if we actually had the ability to supply water to Scott Valley as part of the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency. We got skunked in that by Santa Cruz. So it's not really clear to me how this actually is going to leverage. You know, yeah, we get out of the same broader aquifer, but we use different layers of the aquifer. Our wells are at the Santa Margarita level, and I forget the one in Scotts Valley. Theirs is that one and the one below it, the Butano. So we have really very different water issues. We're a very large district, they're a very small district. The notion of us being urban is laughable. But the way the state defines it, it doesn't matter how big you are as long as you're over 3,000. So whether you're 2 square blocks or 60 some square miles, if you have over 3,000, you're an urban water district. That's just ridiculous. But it does go to the fact that what needs to be studied in the last one, Scotts Valley drove the project management because it was all about Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency, and they were the most impacted entity of that effort. We just kind of tagged along and said, okay, whatever, because again, these haven't traditionally been used in any substantive operational way. I'm skeptical that this actually has any benefit at all. Even trying to work together, unless you basically, somebody takes the lead, it's gonna, managing 2 agencies with 2 very different issues that they have to address is gonna be tough to deal with. I'm not sure why they're not doing this with Santa Cruz, though I would imagine they're going to be going into negotiations on the intertie and buying water soon. And maybe this is part of that negotiation. Who knows?
Conversations I've had with David McNair, I would say that water exchange between San Lorenzo Valley and Scotts Valley isn't necessarily off the table. So I don't know.
It's completely off the table until we get new water rights, except for emergency situations. In an emergency where, you know, their wells go out or something, we can't supply water. Outside of that, we can't. Santa Cruz with their new intertie, that's not emergency. That is anytime they want. It's a very different circumstance. And Santa Cruz knew that when they did what they did back in 2021 on our water bills. Or 2020, I forget when. So I'm just, there's more here than meets the eye. But I appreciate the opportunity to expound on this a little bit. I'm
Jason,
done.
any questions from you based on any of the comments that you're hearing here as to path forward?
No, I guess my only question would be, does the board want to see this district be the lead agency on this if we're doing it conjointly?
I would be more comfortable with that since we're twice their size. I think we should be in the driver's seat. Does that mean it causes our district more work to put the RFP together? Probably, but I would hope that the RFP that was issued then is maybe some guidance, but a lot simpler, because that was at the outset of the Santa Margarita groundwater plant. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, then I'll make the motion. I want to move to authorize the general manager to coordinate with Scotts Valley Water District on a joint preparation of the 2025 urban water management plan and to return to the board with proposed professional services agreement and any necessary cost sharing agreement for consideration.
And did we want to amend to that it would be nice to have the proposal in 3 pieces? Leave that up.
I don't think we need to amend the motion. I think Jason has heard that aspect.
Okay.
To the request that, that we've made.
We'll ask that of the bidding agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, absolutely. RFP is written. Such they're coming back with response. So I think the motion is,
I'll second it.
President Smalley,
yes.
Director Foltz.
No,
Director Largay
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Okay, all right. Moving on then. The environmental vehicle purchase. You got the lead on that, Chris? Okay.
So, yeah, this item is a proposal to purchase a vehicle for the environmental department. We are looking for a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive SUV or truck. We sent out a notice inviting bids. And then following the last board meeting where there was a vehicle purchase, we were requested to send it out to a broader range of dealerships. So we went ahead and sent it out to a broader range. That was the second notice inviting bids. One vehicle we got came back under budget, and that is the 2025 Ford Maverick from Salinas Valley Ford for $31,068.60. And in the memo I had that sales tax was not included in that, but that is not true. I went back and looked at their quote, and it looks like sales tax was included. So yeah, maybe I would adjust the price to be the full 33,000 budgeted just to cover any DMV fees and anything else that may.
Licensing and all that.
Was that?
Licensing and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. President Smoley asked me to start with a question, so okay. He passed the hot potato on. So if what you're saying to us right now, Chris, is that actually we're not $1,200 over budget, we're actually looking like it's within the budget that we've included in our plan.
Yes, from my initial read, I had thought the sales tax was not included, but I went back and looked at it and it looks like sales tax is included in that price. So that, yeah, it takes some of the.
Right, it's a lot of money. Yeah. Okay, and I guess you're comfortable with this was the only bid that we got that was within budget, and you're comfortable with what's offered, that it'll do what you need it to do.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's it for my questions. I'll pass it back
Okay.
off.
Right,
I don't have any questions.
all right. Director Volts?
yeah, I'd like to. I don't know, Scott might be giving me the eye, but I'm glad we did that because I don't know that we've ever bought anything from Salinas Valley Ford. So I want to hear from Scott first before I say anything else.
The Maverick came in on the original first round of bids.
It did.
We
Okay.
got one bid on the second tranche, was from Livermore, Sacramento, Northern California, and that was one response out of 6 requests.
Okay.
So we only got a total of 4, I think, 4 or 5
But-
requests out of the 9 dealerships we sent it to.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's better than everything in the past we bought from North Valley Ford
North Bay.
or North Bay Ford. Yeah.
Well, actually, we bought it from Mission or Gilroy, Mission Gilroy.
Okay. But it's good to get more vendors, at least knowing we're here, and maybe going forward, we'll get even better pricing and the rest of it. So thank you for doing that diligence. I think that was an important thing to do.
Okay. You were originally requesting an SUV. You're now recommending a truck. Does that meet the needs instead of SUV?
Yeah, I really don't think it matters, and having a truck might provide us with even extra, versatility if we need to transport.
Right.
Whatever.
Some equipment or otherwise. Okay.
Oh, Mark, you want a truck? Come on.
I'm reading what their spec was. They wanted an SUV and they're settling for something else. In the past, we have saved some money by getting a dealer to waive the delivery fee. I understand we needed that in the bid to make bids comparable across the board. But if the delivery fee is significant enough,
I'll go get it.
then maybe staff or another interested member involved with the district could. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it costs to do that. So,
So we have always had that delivery fee in there,
and it should be, yeah,
but when you're buying from North Bay Ford, you know, it's.
Yeah.
We drive down there with 3 people in one vehicle and you drive back with all the vehicles and it's a done deal.
right,
So,
right.
we have never really had, there was one time we went from Palinga Chevrolet and they drove them up to Morgan Hill and we picked them up. So we met them halfway,
Right,
but that was,
right,
15 years ago.
right. But look at the, ask Celine about what's the delivery fee, and it doesn't make sense for us to do the same thing or have somebody should go down on a bus.
It was 1,500 for the delivery from Visalia for the dump
Right.
truck, and I mean, I just rode over with John and drove it back.
So
No bill.
So I don't think that holds up anything, but
No.
yeah, look at that, consider that. Okay. Any questions from the public on this one?
I have one question.
Please come up to the mic.
All right, it's not really related to this because my question was really, I came from the Lost Acre, Felton Heights.
Yes.
And so I was more interested, but I can see that was a closed session.
Yes.
And so my question was, public allowed in closed sessions? I
No,
didn't think so.
That's
So I
why
came
it's,
for this
that's why
meeting.
it's closed.
But I'm getting the idea that it's gonna go through this whole meeting. I'm not gonna hear anything about what's going on with Lost Acre.
Unfortunately.
So okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
But it has been interesting.
I did report at the beginning of the meeting on the one item that was on the closed session, the board took no reportable action.
Oh, okay.
So
He
that
wasn't-
was me saying,
He wasn't here yet.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because I showed up at the other office.
I
So I got there early.
Okay.
There, all the lights were on. And so I started reading things and I typed in the new end, so
Okay.
further down the.
All right.
address than what I had, but
The board discussed it. We didn't take any reportable action, so there's nothing I can tell you about.
then I'll just report on that because I'm part of the vice president of the road association there, so. All right, well, it was interesting though. I did find out. and I-
I'm glad you had to learn something about
things.
Yeah.
Because of the discussion, especially when you were talking about the sewage and things like that. Because I just came from my sister's in she lives in Utah. They replaced sewer system in the whole community and it didn't cost the homeowners anything except to tie into the line. And I thought, I would love to see something like that in our pristine environment that we have here. We should control that. It sounds like it's made me think twice about swimming in the San Lorenzo. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So I want to make the motion, the board approves the purchase of one truck from Salinas Valley Ford in the amount of up to $31,068.60 and authorizes the general manager to execute any documents required for its purchase.
Can I make a small amendment to that you would accept? In an amount not to exceed $33,000. You were in the bathroom when he requested
Oh,
that we do
thank you.
that.
Okay, I was reading the 31.
Yeah, no, I made a suggestion just to cover licensing, the other incidental.
Yes, yes,
To the budget amount.
right. So in an amount not to exceed 33,000.
You're okay with that?
Yes.
I'll second that.
President Smalley,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
Director Larday,
Yes.
Director Russ.
Yes.
Motion has passed.
All right. Oh, item 10F is
Withdrawn.
Is withdrawn.
oh, yeah, withdrawn. The consent agenda. Anybody from the board want to comment on that? Seeing none, we will consider that approved. The endowment fund update. Jason gave us. I saw something in the board packet on that.
The funds have been returned.
Okay,
Oh, I missed that.
And,
well, the 55,000.
$55,307 has been returned to the general fund.
The rest of it's still TBD.
Okay, all right.
But it's in process we're still researching it or?
We're looking at other alternatives to bring to the board. But
Thank you.
Okay. Written communications. And no other informational material. Based on that, I think we can adjourn. Okay, thanks, folks.
Thank you.